Strike a Chord, music chit-chat with your host, Valentino Gikovski. Welcome to the Strike a Chord Podcast, episode number 4. My name is Valentino Gikovski, and on this podcast we have the great musician and entertainer, Alejandro Espino Aldana, aka the Lone Mariachi. Alejandro really engages with the people through his music and song, and I ask him how he does it, and also I ask him how he became the Lone Mariachi. A big thank you to the Yesteryear Revival, the production team, and Eclipse for their support. And remember to subscribe if you like what you hear and what you see. Enjoy! Welcome to the Strike a Chord Podcast. Today we have a very good musician, a very good friend of mine, Alejandro Espino Aldana, the Lone Mariachi. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure's all mine.
Gracias.
So I wanted to just start with a bit of background on yourself. What I've seen, you're an amazing musician. You know how to connect with the people. You know how to make the atmosphere for the people, right?
Well, there's a story that I've been telling everyone that I didn't have a chance to play guitar until I was like 19 or 20. I didn't pick up the guitar until that age. But 19. my passion for music started when I was very little. I made my first guitar from a shoebox, and with elastics.
Yeah.
Put elastics on the shoebox, and I'll make a sound.
That's right.
Unfortunately, my parents didn't because I was adopted, so they didn't realize that I was, looking for the music
And talented
for music.
From the inside.
Yeah, so I was always attracted to music even when I was a little guy. I remember in my house we had a black and white TV, and I couldn't wait to Hawaii 5-0 to start, because Hawaii 5-0 starts always with a
surf guitar.
With a drum.
Oh, the drums, yeah.
That used to drive me nuts.
Really?
Man. That used to make me jump. That drum beat at the very beginning of the
floor
thing.
toms and everything. Yeah.
That was good, drive me nuts. And then I realized that I wanted to. And then one day I was, with my grandmother, and she took me to this restaurant. And there was guitars, and there was a band playing in the night. So I was so attracted to touch the instruments. So I think all those signs led me to quit school when I was 17, 18, and then I decided to quit school. I started learning I started with classical guitar.
Yeah.
The classical guitar I learned, all the Tárrega.
Francisco,
Ponce.
Yes, yeah.
Ponce, and all the arrangements by.
That was quite hard stuff.
Segovia, huh?
That was quite hard stuff. So you dived in.
I didn't do all the studies of Fernando Sora. I just went into playing Capricho Árabe, all those things,
Yeah.
Very hard stuff, but it took me months and ages. I didn't go out. I just basically was home, practicing, trying to get things done, as a kid.
And as a kid, you always felt there was something there. And what sort of music did you actually first get into when you started playing? I suppose professionally, was it the rancheras? Was it or did you try?
You grew up. I grew up in Tijuana. It's just a border town.
Tijuana, yeah.
So when you're young, you're listening to both sides of the world. Like you're listening to the radio stations from San Diego, Los Angeles, and you're listening to Ted Nugent, no? And one day, and the next day you're listening to Los Terrícolas, a band from Chile or Mexican band.
So it's quite diverse.
Yeah. I grew up listening to Pink Floyd, Van Halen was my favorite, Led Zeppelin, all that stuff when I was growing up. And on the other side, my family, they loved, all the Mexican stuff that was going on back then.
Yep.
There was a program in Mexico City that would only be on Sundays. It was called Siempre en Domingo, and that's where you watch all the artists from from Latin America that come to Mexico, like from Spain, come
Yep.
to they become very famous in Mexico, and so I grew up in that
era.
context, of getting the best of all worlds music wise.
So, I suppose when you started playing and you started hearing these different sounds, and you're listening to everything from Van Halen to the rancheras to Tex-Mex to everything, and because I know you tend to fuse a little bit of that, and you can play a bit of this and a bit of that, So was that?
That's what I do, man.
Yeah. So was that accepted in Tijuana? Was it accepted when you started doing this, or did you start doing it later?
No. I was when I was in Tijuana. I started. I work as a salesman on the main street in Tijuana. There's only one main street, which is called Revolution Avenue.
Yeah.
And all the Americans come in, the North Americans come in, and as tourists. Back then it was a huge amount of people on the streets from the USA.
And they came in for everything.
They came in, and I was a salesman. And
What were you selling?
Selling, like stuff that Americans buy, blankets, Mexican hats,
all the tourist stuff, souvenirs,
silver jewelry. I used to wear a lot of jewelry
okay.
like that.
Yeah.
And that's where everything started. I mean, then I worked like that for like 10 years, since I was like 15, started working there. Then I learned English straight away when I was a kid. Languages have been very easy for me, so I learned to speak English straight away. Watching cartoons in Mexico, American cartoons.
And films.
English for me was like straight away. So I started working as a salesman to sell to the Americans.
So you would have seen a lot of different types of Americans come through and everything like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I remember, I have lots of memories from that era where there was all these Americans coming to party, to Tijuana.
As they do, and they still do, I think.
Yes, not much. I think it's coming back again. I mean, I'm in contact with my son. I have a son, a 30-year-old son in Tijuana, and he tells me that it's picking up again after 10, 15 years of after September 11.
Yeah, that's right.
Everything was like dead there.
Jeez.
And it became like a Mexican. That main street that used to be full of Americans, it became now full of Mexicans with Mexican bands all over the place and stuff.
Because I remember, because my dad used to live, breathe, eat, sleep, and drink Mexican music and rancheras, and he used to sing all of that. I sort of grew up with it. And I remember, because they actually went to Tijuana, they went to Guadalajara and all that. But there was a big difference from Tijuana to, say, Jalisco, So it was a big difference. It was, like in Tijuana, you can listen to all sorts of music, It was like
That's right.
Tex-Mex, accordions, guitars, electric
Norteño.
guitars. Yeah. And then, you go into Guadalajara, where you can see the proper mariachi and the rancheras, and they've got Vicente Fernandez, and all that, So, what was your idea in, I suppose, your first band? Because I know you started playing in a mariachi band, right?
No, not really. I mean, my beginnings in the music was classical guitar. I played classical guitar for like 6-7 years in my 20s. All I did was playing classical guitar.
Okay.
I fell in love with classic. I still play it. And I go to parties and, hey, Alejandro, he plays the guitar. Come on, Alejandro, come and play the guitar.
And
big party. And I started playing Mozart, Beethoven.
Yeah,
No. Come on,
They
sing a
want to
song,
party.
man. Come
They
on.
want to party. Yeah.
Yeah, we want to. Then I started, okay, cool. I'm going to start learning, all the things that, started
All the
learning all this
popular
music.
stuff.
I didn't even write my own songs, nothing, man. It was just like trying to. I was being part of the jazz band, and that I started hanging around with guys who were playing South American music. That's I learned how to play the charango, and the cuatro venezolano, and all those instruments. And I fell in love with that music. And the band that I had was when I met my Australian wife in 1999, 2000. We got married in Tijuana, and all of a sudden it was September 11, and then I got this phone call from my friend saying, "Hey man, you want to do a tour in the USA in schools? You have to play like in 400, 500 schools in the US." And I said to my partner in those days, I said, "Let's go, let's do that."
You got to work, right?
We invented this musical journey through Latin America. So we started playing Andean music. I wasn't even.
Beautiful.
We were playing carnavalitos, cuecas, all that stuff from all over different places. Cojoropo from Venezuela.
Jeez.
So we did this program, and then we traveled all over the United States with a program called Musical Journey through Latin America, something like that.
Jeez.
That was called that band was called Árbol Azul.
Because Mexico and Mexicans actually they embrace different style of music a lot.
That's right. They call people sometimes they call them Malinchistas. You're a Malinchista because you embrace this culture. Malinchista, it comes from a word Malinche. La Malinche was this the wife of Cuauhtémoc or some emperor, Aztec emperor. She was the wife of one of them, and she betrayed the Aztec emperor and went with the Spaniards.
Okay,
that's the story. I don't want to lie, but I don't remember the name of the emperor. But she was actually La Malinche, very famous indigenous Aztec woman who betrayed her husband, and then she went on the other side with the Spaniards.
And that's
why they call you Malinchista when you start, like in Mexico, you start talking in English, and people why are you speaking in English? You're Mexican. You should be speaking Spanish. Like back then.
The reason I say that is because when I started in Spain, I met a lot of Mexicans, and they were really much involved in Spanish music, and I wanted to listen to Spanish music, flamenco, but they also listened to a lot of other things. It was like they had a very broad listening. They listened to everything from South America, plus everything to North America as well. So it's a very broad range of their their ideology of music. I listen to everything. I listen to this. I listen to that. We've got that same mentality in Europe, where we listen to everything.
Everything's welcome.
Yeah, everything's welcome. And that's a great thing.
I grew up like that in Mexico.
Yeah,
and I think I hear there's a lot of Argentinians here, Venezuelans, and I know their music.
Yeah,
I know, and it's embedded in my DNA.
In your DNA,
it's just as well as the mariachi music. I'll tell you something, Valentino. Being all my life until I was 35 in Tijuana, Mexico, I've never played mariachi music until I came here.
Really?
I was never a mariachi. I became here a mariachi because I realized there was the need to have a real one from Mexico.
Yeah.
And immediately I started working with Los Románticos, with the band here from Melbourne.
Yeah.
And then I do my own thing now, like I have the Sin Frontera band, the trio, and I work a lot of solos. And I have another project called Mexican Music Man, which is for children. I write songs.
I actually saw that online.
I write songs.
That's a very good project.
I write songs for children, and I have a following, and I really like that side of my career as well because it's different.
It's different.
Yeah. But I still dress up like a mariachi in red.
But that'll be very to the kids especially, when they see the red mariachi and the sombrero and everything. It's like it's something's happening here. They don't know quite what it is, but and that's what I find. Your engagement with the audience and with the people is fantastic. Not all of us have got that twinkle, that that sabor, that thing, where you can engage, with people.
I try.
Being for myself, I'm sort of an introvert, and when I play, but I play for the crowd, but it's a different. You're on a different level. You play for the crowd, to the crowd, with the crowd. You know, how do you do that? How do you what is your approach? What is your thing when you get up there and you're performing? You know,
I don't know. I think the Mexican suit empowers me.
okay.
I can, I remember Christian Saavedra, the percussionist.
Mm-hmm.
He told me, "Hey, Alejandro, you can get away with anything with that suit on, man. I skip the lines and go in there because I'm dressed up, and the people say, oh, look at the mariachi man,' and I say things too that that people would find funny, but if I wasn't dressed up, they would find me offensive.
So when you're
I get away with stuff with
so when you're not in the city, you're mild-mannered Alejandro, and that's,
it empowers me. It makes me feel like I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of my culture. I have been invited to do a lot of collaborations, and I've always asked if that collaboration is going to offend my culture. If it's offended, I don't want to be part of it. Especially when it comes down to videos or movies or something like that. I'm very careful of that because I'm very proud of being Mexican, and I'm very proud of wearing the suit.
And so you should be, because that suit represents a lot of Mexican history.
It's World Heritage.
It's yes, it is, and that, along with the music, is one. You know what I mean? So like
that's it,
all the revolutions that happened in the past of Mexico, it was all in that outfit. All the songs that are in the past that are about the goodness of what's going on at the moment or at the time. It's all about that. It's all about being that person and being proud to be that person.
Yes.
And singing the songs. When you start getting goosebumps and stuff like that. That's what it is.
Especially like there are songs that if I sing one song now that was full of Latinos here, it doesn't matter if they're from Bolivia or Colombia or Argentina, even Spain or whatever. If I sing one specific song, everybody's going to sing along.
Yeah.
They're going to know this Mexican song. You know
what I mean? One is it?
Huh?
Which one is it?
Cielito Lindo.
Cielito Lindo, everyone knows.
Lindo.
I grew up with that song.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone
or
knows.
if I sing La Cucaracha, everyone is going to know. Even Australians,
That's the universal language. That's where you connect.
That's right. Yeah.
But I really respect that. I commend you on that because you're not only that you're proud of it, but you're educating people as well. People who don't know what it is, you're giving them an education on the fly.
That's
through
right.
Music.
I set myself to educate people. I wrote a song. It's on my children's album. It's called Mexico, Mexico, because a lot of people, some people ask me, "Oh, you come from Mexico," and I say, "Well, it's actually Mexico." But it's okay. In the song that I wrote, it says that I come from a place called Mexico, but you can also say Mexico. It doesn't matter; both words are the same. It doesn't matter because you spell them the same. Mexico.
That's it. And look, I think with that project, you're giving back to the community as well.
Yes.
You're with the kids. That you're giving the kids also a bit of an education of what it is. To be a Mexicano, but also a musician as well, and being there, to give them some sort of enlightenment. And that's very hard with the kids. It's very, very hard because they're very true to what they think.
They're very honest people, man.
Yeah, very.
They'll love you or they hate you.
That's right. When did you come to Australia?
I arrived in 2007, and in 2008 I was busking at the Collingwood Children's Farm, and this person, if I remember her name, from Paran Market, was watching me, and she left her card, and I read the card and said, "Oh, come on, I want you to come to the market, to the Paran Market," and I've been working there ever since 2008. So it's been 14 years at the Paran Market, playing every Thursday morning. I'm playing tomorrow morning. from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Beautiful.
So I've seen a lot of kids that were like 2 years old and now they're
now
16, 15, 16.
Your approach to rehearsing, and I know over the COVID period, you did a lot of online shows and everything like that, which is a bit different to live performance. But I wanted to know what your approach is to rehearsing. How do you rehearse? Do you rehearse at home in as you're doing it there, or is your rehearsal at home more creative and more arranging, more?
It's pretty random.
Random?
Well, it depends because I got all these projects going, parallel.
Yeah.
Like the children's songs. It costs me so much to write a song. He says I'm not a very prolific songwriter. It's a lot of work for me.
Yeah.
It becomes like I had to just like leave it there and come back another day.
Yeah.
So I got the Lone Mariachi, who's a little bit more. I want to do some electronic thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But in the creative side, is the Mexican music, man, is the creative part of my life, which is I have gained a following that it's not huge, but it makes me feel like like I need to work more on my composition, songwriting process.
It's not easy.
It's not an easy thing. I do a lot of compositions on guitar, and I think with the guitar gives me that. For me, the music comes first on the guitar and then the lyrics. For me, it's very, how would you say, very, very dangerous almost to say that to write lyrics because I have a lot of respect for poetry and if you're gonna go and write something, it's got to be meaningful,
of
or
course.
something.
Even writing melodies is the same.
That's right.
Lyrics and melodies, they have their own challenges. I'm not a lyricist. I can never write lyrics. Melodies I can write, but when you collaborate with someone that can write lyrics and you can write melodies, magic can happen, and that's where there's a lot of collaborations happening from even not from now, but from years and years ago, I find that if you have the right person, sometimes you can't do everything on your own. That's what I find,
That's true. That's why there are so many bands that they get married, like in a way, they work together all their lives and they become something,
And exactly right. Where someone writes the lyrics, someone writes the melody, someone arranges it all, So there are different phases to that. Here in Melbourne, I suppose we're very lucky because we've got such a diverse range of music, and we can listen to all sorts of music, and chances are that you'll meet that sort of a musician if you want to fuse something together. And I know you do a little bit of fusion with the Mexican stuff, and then you grab an electric guitar and you just go for it and you start shredding.
That's why I bought myself a Gordon guitar with a nylon string that I can put a distortion
the pedals on and you do a great job. You do a great job, and I like to see that because
but people don't expect it because I'm full dressed up and I'm just playing something Mexican and
they don't expect it.
And all of a sudden it's
like you go into Eddie Van Halen mode.
Thunderstruck, man.
But that's where you're engaging with the audience as well. You know how to get
their attention.
Their attention,
because obviously a lot of Australian people, and like it's 90%, they don't know anything about Mexican music. They know about the Mexican food, but they don't know much about Mexican music. So I have a big repertoire of Mexican music, and so I start playing my thing, and the songs that I love to sing and from Mexico.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I know they're not putting attention, or some people, but I'm just gonna give them something they like, or something they're familiar with.
That's the twist, right? That's the twist.
And then they're all yours. You know what I mean?
You gotta engage them. You gotta grab that that little attention that they have sometimes, because usually at gigs they're talking or they're doing this or that. But if they hear something familiar, and they think, oh, okay, hang on, something's happening, and then they turn around and they see the Lone Mariachi playing Thunderstruck.
That's right.
But look, that's a very important part of gigging as well. Some people have got that. Some people have got other sort of ways of doing it. And I've always been a modest sort of player. I haven't been the person to go out there and do that. I haven't had the balls big enough to do it, And I respect a lot the people who actually go out there and they just go for it. They jump into the deep end and see how it's going to be, And I have great respect for that because
sometimes it's like you jump into the deep end, and sometimes you don't get what you expect. Sometimes too.
It's
I've seen you play, man. You play at a very high level guitar, and you don't need to be a monkey to get everyone's respect as well. You know what I mean? It's like you have something that other people we don't have.
That's right. We all work it differently, right?
That's right.
But it's very important that we stick to what we're doing as well, and we're playing music, for these people here as well. And that's one thing that I think at least in the last couple of years, us musicians, we found that we're finding it a bit hard. Things have changed. Obviously, the world has changed, but I think we're also looking at new things as well, what we can do. Like I know, for example, you started using some loop pedals, which I've started using as well. It's a different take on things, a different coordination. It's not just the hands. No, it's the feet.
I have an iPad that I use with rhythms.
Yep.
And that application is like my companion. It's my drummer. Yeah. That
Your rhythm section.
Never missed a gig.
And you don't pay him a lot either.
So I got all my rhythms there. I stopped them with a Bluetooth.
Is that what you use? The Bluetooth?
Pedal? It's just a Bluetooth pedal. It's
okay.
I stop it, play, stop, play, stop, play one with me.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. And I don't like to complicate myself too much because for me it's very hard to technology is also here's the other side of it, like if I'm gonna have like a loop pedal and then all this stuff, I have to all carrying a lot of things. I'm a more simple person. I just take the guitar, one pedal, which is the distortion, and one pedal for the controller that controls the
I thought it was actually a loop, but
I don't use the loopers. The looper for me is a little bit, how would you say, the loop can become a little bit restricted because
it's a loop, right?
With the loop, with the other one, with the drum, I just put one rhythm. In one rhythm, I can play 20 songs.
Yeah.
In that one.
And you can play them as long as you want.
Or 4/4 or 2/4 or 6/8.
Yep.
You can just go to one another, whatever, jump to different songs.
And you can extend them if you like.
Yes, as much as you want.
You can do improv here, improv there.
Yeah. And with the looper, I think it's a little bit limited. I mean, I know I've seen Tash Sultana doing amazing things with it. It's just too complicated for me. My brain doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Look, whatever works for you. Everyone has different ideas of doing things. But
I'm more like I really want to have a band. I like to play with other people. Rather than play on myself, like me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
With lots of loops, they're cool.
But
I even have a looper that's almost brand new. Never use it.
But now you got a Sin Frontera band, right?
Sin Frontera band is a trio now.
Yeah.
Used to be a drums, guitar, and bass. I used to have Lázaro on the trumpet.
Yeah.
But that band disintegrated, and the Sin Frontera band now became a mariachi band.
Okay.
And I have another project called the Lone Mariachi and the Silver Mask Band. Guys put the wrestling masks on.
Yep.
And that one is probably replacing the other guys.
Okay.
Too.
So in the Sin Frontera band, you play the guitarron,
I play the bass, the guitarron, the big one. Yeah.
How is that to play?
I started playing it during pandemic because I bought it 10 years ago and I brought it into Australia, and I was my thinking was like I bought all these instruments to make a mariachi band, but I couldn't find anyone to play it. Or to play the right way, because some people want to play like an electric bass,
but it's not
like that.
I've got one as well.
It's octaves. Oh, you got one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of. I've been spending like a year playing it, and I love it, man. I was a bass player. I was a bass player in a band for like 8 years in Mexico, and when I grabbed the guitarron, I was like, oh my God, I love the guitarron. And it's
It's a beautiful
so
instrument.
nice.
Beautiful instrument.
And now I'm trying to sing and play the guitarron at the same time with Amla on the violin and Francisco on the vihuela. So the guitarron is just an amazing instrument, and I'm just gonna keep going with that.
It's a beautiful instrument. It's a beautiful. I know I started learning it at one stage, but you need to commit to it fully. And because I had another instrument that I was committed to, it was a bit hard. So, but it's a beautiful instrument, you know. And it actually, it's not only the Mexican music that you can play with it. You can play other sorts of music too. It actually blends in with other styles of music as well.
Yep.
With the the soul sort of music, the old sort of South American sort of the Buena Vista Social Club sort of music as well. You can actually play it with that as well.
We were doing an arrangement of the Skyhooks
Oh really?
horror movie.
Oh really?
Yeah, we did it in a Mexican style,
Yeah.
so it fits. You can make anything Mexican. You can turn any song into a Mexican song, whether it's huapango or ranchero style
Yeah.
or polka style.
There's a lot of
Two quarters.
there's a lot of songs that have been transformed into the mariachi style.
Yeah, it's like any song you can turn into blues or reggae. Those are like
structure is there.
genres that are like the Joker on the cards. You know, that's the one that
The
fits
Joker card.
everywhere.
It can fit. It's like a wild card.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Now look, it's it's music that can relate in any nationality as well. You know, it's like if you put it on, you can straight away sense that something's happened. It's not your. It'll always bring you up on a high. You know, it's not that sort of that music where you have to sit down and analyze and everything. You listen to it and enjoy it. That's what that music is. You know.
That's right.
And being a musician, when I listen to music, my head's always analyzing the song, whether I like it or not. But when I listen to Mexican music, I just listen to it and I enjoy it. And that's the beauty of that music. And there's not a lot of music that can, you know, do that off the bat straight away. You know, you listen to it, you think, you know, you always you feel something, you know, straight away. So that's what I've listened to it since I was a kid. So I think maybe that's probably a bit of it as well. But with music in general, how did you find the transition from Mexico to here? Like when you came here, how did you start playing music here? What was your reaction? What was your initial thoughts, your opinions when you came here? You came to Australia, other side of the world, and you thought, all right, what am I going to do here now? How am I going to do my music?
It was pretty stressing, man. I arrived here, and my partner was pregnant with my son, and we moved to Warburton, and
Okay.
And you know this is like what day what it was July
So summer.
like
Winter.
in Warburton. I was like, what am I doing here? You know, like very cold and very empty. No people in the streets. Like I just came from Tijuana, Mexico, and I'm like, you know, like I was expecting to see a lot of movement, nothing, no. And I started working teaching at the Warburton Primary School, and I was like really eager to meet people, but I mean there was not many over there, so I had to drive down to we went to the Collingwood Children's Farm with my partner, and she said to me, "Why don't you go basking?" And I said, "Basking? No. I mean, from being basking in Mexico, it's like, you know, like begging. You know, it's like it's something different. It's not that respected like here.
Yeah.
Maybe nowadays it is, but back then I was like, no, basking? No, there's no way." So we had a basket of instruments in the car. I said, "Come on, let's go to the market to Collingwood Children's Farm." So we went there, and that day, I just sat and started playing my guitar, and start singing, and we had some instruments there, and the kids just started to like grabbing the instruments. So we had, I don't know, we got a lot of gold coins on that day, and it was at the convent. Where
The convent, Abbotsford.
Yeah, I was at the convent. They let me just bus
beautiful
there.
place.
And one thing led to another. The guy from the bakery asked me, "You want to come and play here every Saturday and Sunday?" And I said, "Yes." And then I came. I did drive from Warburton to Collingwood. I was for convent for a couple of years.
So that was your first residency.
That's how I started. I didn't have a mariachi outfit. I had this Andean vest because I used to play Andean music. And I had this Andean vest from South America, and
Yeah.
And then I started meeting people. I was walking. I remember walking on Johnston Street, and my next partner was pregnant, and I heard some music. It was in the night, and I heard some music going on. Some live music is coming out of this place. There was the Spanish club.
The Spanish club.
The Spanish club, and San Lázaro was playing. And I was drawn in immediately. I went in there, and we went in there and sat down and started listening to their music. It was so cool. So as soon as they finished, I walked up to the stage and said hello to the singer, Keiko. And as soon as I said, "Hey, ¿cómo estás?" And he immediately recognizes, "¿Qué pasó, cabrón? ¿Cómo estás?" ¿Cómo sabes? La voz de mexicano. You're Mexican, right? Yes. So that's one of the first musician I ever met. Is this Keiko from San
The first
Lázaro.
interaction.
Huh?
The first interaction.
Yeah, the first interaction with the musician there. And then I across the street, the guitar gallery, I met Jerry Hale. He's one of the first musicians also that I met. And he has this guitar shop.
Yeah.
He still has it there. And Javier Ruiz, and a Chilean that I met somehow straight away. And he invited me to do a gig in South Yarra in a Mexican bar. So that's how I started.
That's how you started.
Yeah.
With that all, because you started playing, but it wasn't on the mariachi. You went to mariachi, right?
No, I didn't have a suit at all.
So when did the Lone Mariachi start?
The Lone Mariachi started 2017.
Okay, so
That's my email, the Lone Mariachi 2017@gmail.com.
So 2007 you arrived.
Yeah, and 10
2007,
years later.
So 10 years later
we became the Lone Mariachi.
So in that 10 years, you were trying different projects, or you were...
What happened here is that, my mind always is being like, Australia, living here. I had more kids in Mexico, and I was like, almost confused.
Yeah.
That I arrived into a new country, and my new son was born here. And I had another son, that we came with another son. So
you were torn in
thinking
your head.
about, I wasn't thinking about I'm gonna make it big time here in Australia in the music. I was just worrying about something else. I was worrying.
Yeah.
I was trying to make a living playing music, but my mind was focused on something else, on family and trying to. I don't know. And then the divorce came. Huh?
You've come into a strange country. You come into a country and
it was very stressing, man. It was very stressing because I didn't know what to do. I wanted to do a VIT, to teach. And I'm 42 years old when I came here, and I said, "No, I'm not going to school. I'm going to feel embarrassed going to school again. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go busking, because I knew busking now it worked. So I started doing that, and then people, sometimes people call me to do gigs or whatever, and so all I've been doing in Australia is music. That's all I've done.
And that's saying something. In Australia, it's hard. Just to do
Australia,
music, it's
Australia's
hard.
beautiful, man. Australia has given me a lot.
Well, I think the beauty of Australia is that it's very diverse. you know. So you get to not only play at a lot of different places, but you get to meet a lot of different cultures and a lot of different people.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
very nice, man. Very nice.
And this is where I think we're lucky, because it's the music and the food. There's a lot of culture, and one goes with the other, you know. And that's. I was born here and I was brought up here, but I'm obviously my background is Macedonian. I don't, you know, it's not something that, you know, like when I go to Macedonia, I still feel foreign there, you know. But when I come here, it's like, because we're used to having all those cultures, it's like it doesn't really matter. It's a melting pot of everything, you know, because it becomes a normal thing to be embedded in all the multiculturalism that's in Australia. And that's where the music comes in. And this is where I think it's very lucky for us as musicians, because we get to play with other sort of musicians. So we get to fuse things, and we get to learn from other musicians, and we get to put some spices here, some spices there. It doesn't always work, but you learn things, you know, and you get to meet these people where you know, are specialists in their field, you know, but you get to also learn from them as well. Is that what you have found as well here?
Yeah, one day I was playing at Barosu, and this guy came and said, "Can I jam with you?" And I thought he was gonna bring the djembe, no? And when he came back with an instrument with so many strings and a gorge, you know, like called the kora. No, there's a kora player. And I said, okay, man, we're going to play a mariachi song. And he play along with us. So I never expected that, you know. Yeah. You get to meet a lot of different people who play different types, or they come from different backgrounds, like you, like yourself. And
they have fun.
You learn more.
Yeah, and you have fun with it, you know.
Yes.
It's not about being at this level or that level, you know. You just want to make good music and have fun with it, you know, and being at a place that allows you to do that, you know. And I've had that as well. It's, you know, you're always surprised by what is going to happen in the next 5 minutes, you know, and that's the beauty of it, you know. Things happen, you know. Sometimes magic happens, sometimes things happen, and you know, and you don't know where you're going to go on that journey sometimes, and that's part of the whole excitement as well. You don't know, all right, we're playing now, what are we going to play next, or where are we going? No, where's this progression going? Where's that progression? He's going to do something, you know, and that's part of the beauty, you know. But I think yourself, I think it was a big thing for you to come here and start playing the music that you do, and I think it's a great thing, because you're, as I said before, you're teaching people as well. You know, you're giving them your music, and you're giving them music that has been around for a very, very, very long time, and you're also teaching them a bit about it as well. But you're also like your different types of, let's say, Western music, right? Different types of music that you want to throw in as well, and I think that's where your capabilities is great, because you can relate to what they're listening to, and people can relate to what you're playing, you know. So I think that's great, you know. If you're playing rancheras now, and then all of a sudden you go into, you know, Jump from Van Halen or something like that, you know, it's that transition and that knowledge, not everyone can do, you know. But
yeah, I've realized that that's my you can call it an asset, because it's been very well accepted. And then a lot of people call me for that, and that's what they're expecting now.
Yeah,
you know, everyone is expecting that.
It's hard work, Alejandro. It's hard work being a musician, you know.
Yeah, it's not easy.
I think people sometimes underestimate of how much effort and work goes into being a musician, because it's not just playing at the gig. It's the rehearsing, it's the education that you have to put behind it, it's the equipment, you know, the generating the following now, you know, it's a lot of hard work.
And now social media, you have to manage social media,
which I get anxiety over, but that's a different story, you know. But and that's, you know, it's a lot of hard work. It's being a creative and artistic person can also play to your, you know, to your mind a little bit, and you think, oh, am I doing this? What am I doing now? What am I doing? Is it worth me doing this, or is it worth me doing that, or should I go back to just doing this and that? And that's very, very, very hard for artists to think about.
When you're performing, I mean, I just like always looking at the audience, and see what their reaction is, and look, scanning the audience, and then you realize, okay, well, then I'm thinking, what are you gonna do next?
Yeah.
And what works and what does not work in a party or whatever.
Yeah. I think that's a very good trait to have. It's very good. You need to scan. You need to know, because you need to know how to set the mood.
Yeah.
Especially what you're doing, because you're there. You're dressed up and everything like that, and it's almost I think the crowd almost expects you to set the mood, right? Yeah. So
I have as people ask me, I'm gonna have my party. Can you come and do what you did in that other party that I saw you there?
There you go. They want that.
Because I like when you played AC/DC, and I like when you do this or you do that. You go, okay, man, no problem. We can do that.
See, and that's the word of mouth, right? That's where you get most of the work. It's a different story when you try and advertise and when you try to push yourself through other mediums and other social things and all of that. But when a person comes up to you and says, I like what you've done there, come and do it for me, it's a different connection, It's you get this self-satisfaction sort of thing, So, but look, I think you're doing a great job. Some Monday, maybe we can collaborate on something. We can, a recording or something.
Yeah,
because I know there's a lot of potential there, I think. So, and I think there's a lot of heart and a lot of soul in what you're doing, Alejandro. So,
thank you.
I think we'll wrap it up and we'll call it. Look, thank you very much for coming on this podcast.
Thank you for having me on your program. On your
much
podcast.
appreciated.
What's it called? Sorry, I didn't know.
Strike a chord.
Strike a chord.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, look, thank you once again for coming. I know it's a bit chilly here, but they're pretty good surroundings.
Nice place you have here. Nice setup.
Yeah. Well, we might do a proper gig here one day. I can see the Lone Mariachi here. We got the nice lighting, the suit and everything. So, but look, thank you once again. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Valentino. Gracias.
Yeah, gracias. Thank you very much to the production team as well, Roland, Ciara, and Yesteryear for the great venue, and Cake Eclipse again for the beautiful cakes. If you like what you see and what you hear, subscribe, and till the next podcast. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed the Strike a Chord podcast. Be sure to visit valentinoflamenco.com to access more podcast episodes, news, and other projects that I'm currently working on. Thanks for listening and watching.